Well, I'm going to try to get through this without tearing up. But this is very personal to me. And I'll explain why in a moment. But thank you all so much for being here. Thank you for the countless dedication of the folks who've come through and stayed around to help the next person that needs the help. Thank you so much, David. But thanks, everyone. Thanks to the board for the support. We need to do more of this in our city. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. But I'd like to begin by congratulating St. Leonard's Ministries on today's rededication, as well as for their 25 years of providing transitional housing for returning residents right here on the West Side. I also can't go on without thanking my friend, Alderman Walter Burnett. He is a living embodiment of living your values and making sure that you are creating real, tangible pathways. For too long in city government, he's been a lone champion of the cause of returning residents. And Walter, I hope you feel like you have a friend and an advocate in the 5th floor, because as I said, this is something that's very deeply personal to me. And I want to make sure that we continue to break barriers, not only in funding, but in raising the consciousness of our entire city around the challenges, but also the opportunities, and providing a pathway home for our returning residents. So St. Leonard's Ministries has done phenomenal work to empower returning residents and provide them with a variety of services needed for successful reentry. This includes life skills training, behavioral and physical health care, substance abuse services, workforce development, and of course, safe housing. The latter resource, safe housing, is provided through St. Leonard's Transitional Housing Site at St. Andrew's Court, which we had the benefit of just visiting, which is one of the first public-private sector partnerships that exclusively houses formerly incarcerated men. And upon completing their reentry programming at the ministries, returning residents have an opportunity to move to St. Andrew's Court, which is a complete with 42 units of housing, 30 of which are subsidized by the Chicago Housing Authority funding. This process was described by one resident as being similar to, quote, the training wheels come off. Is an important part of St. Leonard's Ministry reentry work, as it provides many of the men in the programming with the first apartment that they can call home. Think about that. Many of these folks have been incarcerated for decades and are coming back into tough circumstances, but they get to claim geography under their feet, which gives them a sense of purpose, but also a sense of power over their own lives. That is one of the most powerful reasons why the housing that's here is so incredibly important. Also, the support services. It's not about just building a place for people to live. I've witnessed, as a former prosecutor, as a former defense attorney, many of the people that are coming home left very difficult circumstances, are choosing to turn their lives around, but need that extra support to be able to really make that happen. And that's one of the magical things that happens here through St. Leonard's Ministry. It's the holistic approach to making sure that the wraparound services are coupled with the housing that really makes this place such a magical opportunity for the men and women that are able to take advantage of the services. And residents in CHA units can stay as long as they like, ensuring that they have enough time to get back on their feet and begin contributing to their communities and city in a productive and fulfilling way. That time, and we just talked about that, slowing things down. People coming out want to make up for lost time. But the thing that they have to realize is slowing down, taking the time, being focused, addressing the trauma that all of them have experienced in one form or another. That's what giving them time in housing allows them to do. So thanks to this holistic approach, St. Leonard's recidivism rates, as you heard, are significantly lower than the state average. And this is incredible. And I know that their team won't stop until no one goes back into a life that led them to incarceration. The work of St. Leonard's Ministry is not only vitally important to Chicago, but as I said, deeply personal to me. Some of you know that one of my brothers, the one that's closest in age to me, spent most of his adult life incarcerated. We kind of lost him from our family when he was in his teenage years. And as you know, the allure of the street can be every bit as addictive as a drug, as a narcotic. And no one could tell him anything for years and years and years. His last stint in prison was 17 years in federal prison. And ironically, with people that I had prosecuted here in Chicago. Talk about that coming full circle and really having a dramatic impact on me. He's been out now about 5 years, but he's 66 with a high school degree and struggles every single day. So I see this from the perspective, of course, first and foremost, as a sister. I see this as a family member. I see it, of course, from my lens as a former federal prosecutor, but also as a defense attorney who helped men come home from wrongful incarceration. There's so much more that we need to be doing as a community to help these young men before they get to that proverbial fork in the road. But when that happens, and there's got to be accountability for the crimes that have been committed, when they serve their time, we have to give them a pathway to stay home, to give them an opportunity to plant real, deep, meaningful roots in a community. It starts with housing, but it doesn't end there. It starts with reaching out and showing them that there is love and support and that they have dignity and that we are willing to do everything that we can to help them successfully transition. I firmly believe that you can't talk about public safety if you do not include in that work a pathway for our returning residents to be able to come home and transition safely and productively so they can go on to really fulfill their God-given potential. And I believe that we have to not only speak our values, but frankly, put our money where our mouth is. So I want to talk to you just briefly about what we have done as an administration to do just that. Step one was making sure that we empowered a reentry coordinator in the mayor's office to ensure that the recommendations of a working group that we put together became real policy and law in our city. And we are lucky that an alumna of this program, Willette Benford, said yes and is leading that work in the mayor's office. Willette, will you just stand and let people recognize you? Step two is making tangible investments. And we've increased the amount of money invested in re-entry centers by $4 million this year. These re-entry hubs, located on our south and west sides, provide a one-stop location for returning residents to be linked up, like they are here at St. Leonard's, to health, housing, legal, and workforce supports, to ensure that no returning resident falls through this reinforced social safety net. We are also investing in new models to support their transition back to the city. And also another important investment will happen next year when we will be launching a $6 million pilot to provide a full year of housing support as well as job placement and wraparound services for returning residents. We're following the lead of St. Leonard's. We also have to lead by example in city government and looking at opportunities for us to hire returning residents ourselves. I can't wag my finger and cajole the private sector to do their part if we're not doing our part in city government. And so we're going to change around our own hiring practices to make sure that we open up more corridors of opportunity for real substantive employment with benefits for returning residents in our city. That's the least that we can do. And another way that we're leading by example is through our work to ensure equitable language is utilized across city websites and communications so that returning residents are addressed with the dignity and the respect that they deserve. And all of these important initiatives and more are made possible because of the partnerships that we have with people across the city, service providers, faith leaders, and community groups who have partnered with our city and share our commitment to making Chicago more welcoming and supportive place for all of God's children. St. Leonard's, I'm pleased to say, is one such partner. And it means so much to me to be here today to celebrate with you all this 25th anniversary and rededication of a site that has been an important part of the journey for returning residents coming home to our city. Again, I want to thank everybody involved in supporting St. Leonard's, the board members I know who are here. The work and the commitment that you have made makes a tangible difference, and I just want to thank you for everything that you've done to support St. Leonard's. I want to also say to the residents who are here, who I see many have gathered here, stay strong. Stay strong. It's hard, it's tough, but we've got your back. And we are determined to make sure that whatever your needs are, we're going to be here to support you. You may fall, but you're going to fall into the arms of a city that understands your needs, that respects you, and wants you to be successful. So please stay strong, stay confident in yourself, and lean into the supports that are here at St. Leonard's. They are here to help, and their rate of success, I think, speaks for itself. But I am grateful to everything that you've done. I'm grateful for the work and partnership that we will continue to do together. And I just want to say God bless everyone who's here. Thank you so much.